I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Yeah, man. I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with this hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop, and AD Drew. Mike Washington is on assignment. I'm not sure if he's in Brazil or around Greater Houston, Texas, or in Philadelphia. Who knows? He might be halfway around the world. Maybe doing some work in Haiti, the superhero Mike. With that being said, shout out for Haiti's independence, the end of Kwanzaa, as we talk about Amani and Faith. Shut down 2025. Now as for 2026, we'll see what that has to do with everybody. Shout out to Jeff Roberts, saying Aggie pride, no doubt about it. I know there's some football games going on, but we're going to talk some HBCU sports because there are some basketball updates on the winning side for the SWAC to give you. So we'll get in a little bit of that. But before we do that, let me do this appropriate. Welcome to episode 763 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, for institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, along with my co-hosts. Today, that is Charles Bishop and AD Drew. We're filming from our home studios in Signal Live, as we like to do to KSOH with the Texas Radio Hall of Fame and multi-Hall of Famer, that is Ralph Cooper, in a beautiful home at Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, let me bring everybody on and see how they're doing this new year, 2026. Man, I got to say that enough so I get used to it as I sign many documents that I have to sign over the year, that I'm making sure I'm putting 2026 on there. So you'll hear me say that quite a bit today just to practice and get that in. Let me go to you, Charles. Obviously, you've been quite busy over the last couple of days supporting family and doing your duties in terms of making sure family does well. I hope all has been well with the family. Can you give us an update? How's everybody doing on that side? You're on mute. Did we?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you good?
Okay, perfect. No, all's well. All's well. My oldest is getting ready to go back up for her last semester in college. So
last? You just said she was a freshman the other day.
Man, she is about ready to get up out of there. So, so yeah, last semester on deck. So, and then my youngest, she's finishing up high school. So, got a lot of graduations coming up this semester. So.
All right, good deal. Graduation gifts, man.
Yeah.
Thank you up. Don't be calling over here asking for no extra. I'll hope to check to you at the end of the year. That's all I got. I'm trying to help some, brother.
Right. I'm about to hustle up some graduation money here.
Man, that's why you sent me that email asking me to pick up some more house games.
Oh, yeah.
I see now.
Smart move.
Have headsets will work. Yes.
No doubt. Let me go to you, AD Drew. How are you doing this 2026?
I'm doing better than my people back in the state where I spent a lot of my life back in Alabama. Considering what happened to them out in Pasadena today. So
yeah, they
definitely
save that money.
Yeah, they're definitely doing better than those folks. As Indiana looks like they're going to be the first team that actually received a bye to win a CFP game. Just something I throw it out there. But speaking of upsets, let's get back into HBCU upset alert. 2 minutes to go, everybody. Valley 61, Alabama A&M 61.
Ooh, it's a good one. That's just something about them Thursday games, Charles. Used to be the Monday game.
Yeah.
That's something about them Thursday games. On the
Curse of the Thursday game. It is what it is.
Some of the new stuff we talk about. Real good stuff. Before we really get into it, did you get your black eyed peas? Y'all do your black eyed peas, your greens. Some people like the cabbage, add some turkey in there. Did you do your rituals?
Yeah, just finished eating my black eyed peas and some cabbage, so I'm good to go.
Mine is sitting up there warming. I went to colleagues and got a little taste on it, but it's something about Faith's black eyed peas, and I can't wait to close out this show because I'm running in there sitting at the table for the nightcap, as they say. 80.
Doc, you forgot to ask the most important question.
Yes.
How many people actually made it to midnight?
Yeah.
Because at our age, we just like a 10-year-old kid. We try to stay up,
especially if you're not ready to go out. Some of us, you have been invited to nice house parties, or you decided this year that y'all gonna go out and do your thing. That's one thing. But if you're at the house and you're chilling, and maybe you buy a nice little bottle or something like that, or something, did you make it?
Right? And we've gone from, I don't know about you guys, but I've gone from in the club on New Year's Eve paying them astronomical rates when it was $20 cheaper last weekend when it wasn't New Year's Eve to obviously I've done the watch night services at church, and now my watch night, especially now since they want to play football on New Year's Eve. Some of these games get done so late you just don't even feel like going out. And Lord Jesus, you always have to remember, we love shooting our guns for New Year's Eve, but something about gravity makes me think, okay, maybe I need to save my butt in the house, because what goes up has got to
come down.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm with you. I'm good with that. You see, you representing my HBCU as we come in the year. We're gonna do it right. I put on my HBCU lab. Then I got my actively black, historically black college and university. So shout out to the folks over there. I see you got your black on, AD with your Morehouse. Charles is bringing in right. HBCU Sports Lab gear. Appreciate you as we put in the work. It's another year now. We starting off, and it's always intriguing when we get in this a little bit, because the academic year is always split literally between the calendar year. So while a lot of folks will be talking about they're starting over, in fact, if you're on the athletic side of things and covering it, or in like AD where you actually are immersed in it, you're like at the midway point. So, it kind of throws you off to know which way to say it. We're talking, splitting the year. Are we ending the year, starting the year? We'll see what that means. So let's get into it and get some updates, see what's going on as things kind of closed out the year. What are some of the things that you are on your mind, Charles, in terms of closing out last year, or even maybe some news to start out the year? What do you got?
Yeah, I missed Tuesday. Doing play-by-play with Texas Southern basketball game, but I had some good ones in terms of top 10.
Appreciate that. Man, it was a great show, because you could tell when people got back to talk about it, they couldn't wait because they had forgot something, or they had quickly recalled something, or some of them was so into their divisional work or into their particular institution that they had forgot a game that was that exciting, and somehow they missed it. And so, great talk. Hey, we couldn't have it, but duty calls, work calls, so you had to get there. But we made sure that your presence was here. But yeah, that was a pretty intriguing show to get the videos and all that out there. The other thing that was intriguing about it is you had the ups and downs. Whether it was Wilton, Jackson State with the big win over Alabama State, then the tough loss, if you would, to Prairie View. Prairie View with the big win over Jackson State, but then the tough loss
South Carolina.
to South Carolina State. So you had literally people's feelings up and down. You could feel it. Everybody stayed professional, except for Mike. When he got to the end, he said, "Man, I can't take it no more." That was not the right call. So we got quoted on that. That will go down in history. But good stuff. Everybody did a great job. But in addition to that, what else do you have that you want to share a little bit as we move forward?
Well, let's take a look at the MEAC because they announced their weekly women's basketball honors as North Carolina Central forward Anaya Finger was named the MEAC Conference Player of the Week. Coppin State guard Kylie Gary Grayson was named the Rookie of the Week, while fellow Eagle Shania Gamble, she earned the Defensive Player of the Week honors. Let's take a look at Anaya Finger. She, forward, 5'11", scored 17 points with 4 steals and 1 block in a steal against North Carolina Central, and then match up against number 8 Oklahoma. Gary Grayson, she tallied 16 points, 2 steals, and 2 rebounds in their game against George Washington. And the Rookie of the Week, Shania Gamble, she registered 8 rebounds, 4 steals, and 1 block in their loss, in Coppin State's loss to George Washington. So those were your MEAC women's basketball honors.
Shout out to the MEAC women's basketball honors. Eddie Drew, let me go to you. What's your thoughts? What you want to get into?
Just quick update. 64-63 A&M with 36 seconds to go. So maybe by the time I get done with my update,
we'll have
we may have a
great update. Keep it going.
But we can't run away from football, everybody. And we can't run away from attendance talk. So let's go ahead and get it in, y'all. Jackson State, once again, leads the FCS in attendance. They averaged 28,733 for home games, for their home games, outdrawing every other program in the subdivision. Here's maybe the shocker to everybody. Nationally, at number 3 was Southern. Despite what happened on the field, they were number 3 with 22,051. Coming in behind them, Norfolk State. Obviously, we had the Vic bump with Norfolk State. They averaged 21,212 in their thing. Going on down the list, ranking number 7 nationally was Alabama State at 26,118. Just outside the top 10 at number 11 was Alabama A&M, 14,111. FAMU was number 12, 14,093. South Carolina State, our national champions, 12,702 at number 15. And at number 18, Aggie Pride coming in with 12,282. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the top 20 in attendance.
3 of the top 5, 4 of the top 10. 5, 6 of the top 15. I want to get in a little discussion on this, but I want to hold this off. We're going to do it in the second segment. We'll finish out some news, and we'll take a whole segment to get in a little attendance talk. And then we might add in some additional news, but we'll take a deeper dive and get your thoughts on that because I think it's a chance to really talk about what that looks like, particularly when you talk about Southern, what they were able to do losing. You can't not shout out Jackson State. They increased what they had last year to lead, and they just continue to lead, show out. Obviously, the bump with Norfolk State is interesting. So people are doing it in different ways, but finding a way. Overall, when you look at HBCUs, what does this mean, and where do you put this, and how do you make this work even more for you economically? With that, let me go back to you, Charles. Before we take that break and take that deeper dive, what's some other news that you want to share before we get into our first break and come back on the other side?
Oh, yeah, kind of interesting. Kim Mulkey, she had some comments, head coach for LSU's women's basketball team, but she talked about helping HBCUs in terms of providing them guaranteed money, and that's especially important within this NIL era. And this came to us from HBCUsports.com, but LSU women's basketball coach Kim Mulkey, she talked about playing HBCUs isn't just a scheduling choice. It's a way to give back to programs with fewer resources while fostering growth across women's basketball. So when she was asked about the significance of playing HBC opponents, she talked about, after they played Alabama State this past Sunday, she explained scheduling goes beyond filling open dates. It's an opportunity to help programs by giving them guaranteed money that matters, especially in this day and age of NIL. So interesting comments coming from Kim Mulkey in terms of LSU women's basketball scheduling HBCU teams.
She always has interesting comments in various ways. But she did it again.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what that means to a lot of folks. Do they use actually game guarantees for NIL? Obviously, it's something that you can do, but we've heard a little bit about that being the nature of the business. That some programs are looking at doing that for football, but hadn't really heard that for basketball on the women's side. But that may be the case. We've heard it some on the men's side. So Shari's not dead. It could be the very thing of what that looks like. It'll be interesting to take a deeper dive over the year to see is that the case, or is that something that she believes should be the case, and therefore thought it was the case in terms of what that looks like. I'm gonna give you the final comment, Drew. News that you want to get out there. Like I said, we'll take that break. Then we'll come back on the other side and talk a little bit more about that attendance.
I'm just gonna give a score update. Jada Murphy knocks down 2 free throws with 23 seconds remaining to put Valley up 65-64. A&M has called a timeout. So we're in the midst of a
for
timeout.
us to call our timeout, take our first break, come back on the other side. Great update, Drew. Way to do that, Drew. We'll be right back after this first break.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Lab. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Lab, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
To these colleges, and we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
And what about HBCUs? You mentioned
absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay? That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot. To right. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for
HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil. We're inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watch, Charles Bishop. We have AD Drew giving us updates. You got one, AD Drew? You want to give us an update? Or Charles?
Let's see if I can keep you up to date. Okay. A&M was in a timeout. Let's see. Janiyah Murphy hit the free throws, put them up 1. Rakia Bell goes 1 for 2 from the line for Alabama A&M to tie the score at 65. Valley calls a timeout. Jada Murphy from Valley misses a layup coming out of the timeout. Anaya Palmer gets a rebound and then turns it over. Janiyah Jones gets the steal. Ariel Jefferson misses a float jump shot. We are in overtime, I do believe. Yes, we are in overtime.
Free swag basketball on the website. Love it. Throughout the show, great updates, good deal. Charles just tickled to death since you so tickled. We're gonna refocus you and get you back to the attendance that you wanted to give some comments on. Let me give an update for those that didn't catch it, or if they did, to kind of provide a synopsis. Jackson State, number 1 overall, 28,733. Shouldn't surprise most people in terms of what their schedule looked like this year, what they've always done. But the big thing is, it's fascinating that they were able to increase their numbers. I think they had over 27,000 leading the country last year and jumped up to 28,000. So some good percentage jump to continue to grow. Surprise for a lot of folks, Southern Jaguars, not because they're in the top. They were at number 3, but the fact when you look at their season, they still had 22,051 fans. Then you had Norfolk State Spartans, which was fascinating, with 21,212. Number 5, Alabama State, 20,618. Great season. Number 7 from 20,000 with 4 programs over 20,000. And you get 2 at 14. That's Alabama Bulldogs.
Excuse me, Doc. I don't know if it's me or Doc Buffin.
There with the string going in and out. But let me go to you, Charles, and we'll start working on that. What were your thoughts that you wanted to get out?
I think that's really significant, especially when you take a look at Southern having a down year, Norfolk State having a down year, but the fan fervor still being in place. And, it tells me that, more than anything, being at the Southern football game or being at the Norfolk State football game, that's a cultural event. That is the place to be. And I think that's significant. I think that's one of the things that you've seen, especially with Jackson State over the course of years, even when Jackson State had down years, especially from, 2015 through 2020, I should say. But it was still a cultural gathering place. So I thought that's really significant, especially now that you have Marshall Faulk coming into the program at Southern. You expect those numbers to go up. I mean, and, honestly, shout out to the jukebox, for keeping that fan interest, in place. Even when the football team isn't meeting expectations, there's still a rationale or reason for A.W. Mumford to be the gathering spot, for Norfolk State Stadium to be a gathering spot. And, you know, I say this all the time, you know, I distinctly remember, you know, the homecoming Grambling did not come to Jackson, but it easily was probably the most memorable homecoming experience, because being around the stadium was a gathering spot, you know, and that energy, that fervor, that just has continued to carry on, you know, throughout the year. So it's very interesting where you have a situation where that stadium is the place to be. It tells me that it is significant to meet your friends, to meet your frat, to whatever the case might be. But it's the cultural gathering ground.
Good stuff. Drew, I want to ask you from this perspective. When you have the variety of attendance, the factor is you had HBCUs at top 25, you know, 3 in the top 5, really significant 4 in the top 10 when you talk about that, and then 7 in the top 15. It's a little more than half, almost when you chronologically break it down in those parts, and 8 in the top 20. Pretty significant, really, when you look at it. But what does that mean when you look at the variability? I mean, you have Jackson State that had a great season, looking to do back-to-back championships, and they made it all the way to the SWAC championship game, but you have Southern down. Norfolk State, yes, you got Vic, but still with a tough season, only 1 win. Alabama State, though, had one of their greatest seasons, and they're there, but Alabama A&M fell on hard times in terms of injuries. FAMU, hard times. And then you have South Carolina State that won it all. Not bad, but, you know, in a lot of ways, blue blood program, only 12,000 fans. That makes me hesitate a little bit in terms of where they are. They usually a little greater than that, but certainly with the type of season they were having. And then you have A&T that was off the map. So you got like half the teams that did well, more than really half the teams that didn't do well, still had some pretty good significant attendance. Charles looked at it one way. What is it telling you from that perspective?
What it's telling me is a couple of things, especially when you go inside the numbers. And number one, we know we get our homecoming bump for our games. So when you take that homecoming, where for most of us, homecoming is double what your regular attendance is, you know, how much does that factor? Jackson State 28,000, but what was homecoming? 40 plus, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But when you take a stadium like, say, Alabama State, who averaged 20,000, that stadium capacity is only 25,000. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a better way of looking at it, is looking at percentage of capacity instead of just raw numbers. 14,000 in Bragg Stadium is disappointing. And what I mean disappointing, because it creates a poor atmosphere.
That's a good point.
So I think those are some of the things that we need to look at when we do it, especially when you subtract homecoming out of these attendance numbers. That tells you what your true attendance is, and then look at that as a percentage of your stadium capacity. That tells you how many diehard fans that you have, how well you're marketing your team to the local community, or those who, within a 2-hour drive of the game. And let's be real, when you go back and look at something else with these, Dr. Cavil, all of these teams are in metro areas. I wonder what kind of a factor that plays in. Jackson State, metro area. Southern, metro area. Norfolk, metro area. Alabama State, metro area. You do not see one rural HBCU on this top 20.
Other than the Bulldogs, they're the only one. Which still points to your overall point. Wow.
Yeah. But even still, when you draw that circle around Orangeburg, though, You know, there's a
you still got
there's a couple pockets, you know, Columbia,
relative
and everything else, Charleston, that are relatively close. You know, you don't see a Valley, you don't see a Alcorn on this type of list. So it's just little different things to look at. Somebody asked a question, Doc. Maybe you can help answer this. Do classics count as a part of these attendance for we've got Magic City Classic, we've got Bayou Classic. Those are two of the big ones, and we know we've got the Florida Classic. Those are probably the three big neutral site classics. Do you have a
I have an answer to that? Really, that's a good question. I'm glad you pointed out and brought it back up. Classic games, the NCAA allows each team to have what they call a secondary home facility. So for like Grambling, they would have a challenge because they could only claim either the Bayou Classic or the State Fair Classic as their second home. And when they're the home team, they could count that in their home attendance. But they can only do one. It used to be like that for Prairie View. You know, you had the Labor Day Classics, particularly when it was played in NRG Stadium, Astrodome, going further back, or the State Fair Classic. They could only claim one. So if they had both of them and they were their home team games, they couldn't cover that. So you can't claim all the classics, but if you're the home team and you call that your secondary home stadium, then you can count it in your attendance. So it's optional. Some teams do and some teams don't. And that was the rule. Obviously, those rules are updated and changed. So good question there in terms of what it means for attendance. And then some attendance they ask you to report tickets that are taken from in there versus not necessarily folks that come into the stadium.
Why would you not claim it?
Huh?
Why would you not claim it? Why would you not claim that attendance?
I don't know. It's a choice. They don't have to. Yeah, it's depending on what they want to do. Some people just want a true home attendance number about their home
ticket
sales. And so for them, it's more of a reporting mechanism. But it's an option. It's a choice. And some people like to do it and some folks don't in terms of that. The other thing that I think this is interesting when you bring it up, as you talk about a percentage, this also gives me some pause. While it still is great for HBCUs, but it also gives you a framework for FCS football in general, in terms of where those numbers are compared to other football and what is that doing at that level when you start doing that comparison. Percentage of the gate in terms of the popularity. Attendance is going up slightly over a couple of years. We'll need to measure that overall when all the data comes out. What does it mean for this year? You have the economy that played a role that I'm not sure people are considering. So those are some things that you're going to have to measure. And we need a little more data to extrapolate to see and probably make some more updates of data points of what that looks like, speaking of Mike, in terms of just raw numbers, percentages of gate, location, metro areas. I think those are a lot of good variabilities when you start thinking about what does that look like. And it gives you a better chance to talk about what is the health of HBCU sports and why you would want to look at all these variables so you can talk about what is the health. If the health is good, then you want to make sure you're doing attributes to continue that health. If there's some health things that are not as good, then that gives you also opportunity to make some changes. It's important that you do take all those variables into place when you're looking at these numbers and not just necessarily look at overall attendance. Let's take our last break, come back on the other side, get back into it and talk a little bit more about the basketball. See if we have some updates. We'll come back with those updates and see your early thoughts in terms of women's basketball, the basketball season. Looks like Southern is doing what they're supposed to do. We'll talk a little bit about that on the other side.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watts and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2026? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 30th to February 1st, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
Update from Itabena, Mississippi, 72 all with 19 seconds remaining in overtime.
They don't want this game to be over. They trying to catch up with the full overtime. Freaking celebration mode, I tell you. This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You just heard AD with the update. You see Charles over there smiling with his little crooked smile. Something on his mind. We do have the game being played on SWAC TV. So you can watch that as you listen to us. That is Texas Southern leading early in that matchup, 9-6 with 5:30 left in the first quarter. Gave you an update earlier that Southern defeated Prairie View 70-55. Charles, give me your other thoughts as you kind of got a glimpse at that game. You heard Carlos excited about basketball season. Asked me whether we watch it. I'm like, yeah, I'm watching. But I'm more interested in what will happen on Saturday with the men. This is not a surprise, but new debut of a coach for Prairie View A&M University. So fascinating from that perspective.
Oh,
playing good at some times. But it sounds like we have an update with the eyes. Go ahead, Charles.
Valley just went up 74-72 with 4 seconds left. So.
They just added a second, Charles. They just made it 5 seconds.
Okay. But, I mean, it dovetails literally into what we're talking about because I literally have to give it a couple of weeks to kind of see who's out there and see who's doing what because just with the out-of-conference schedule, it is so hard to really get a good feel on who these teams are. I mean, obviously, we've seen Southern and what they're doing. You know, Southern, traditionally, they stay in the mix in terms of women's basketball. But you could not have told me today that a 1-10, Valley team was going to go heads up like this with Alabama A&M. So after I get like a couple of weekends in, and I know who Ariel Jefferson is, and I know who Jada Murphy is, I get sort of a feel for, okay, here's what we got going for the upcoming season.
Game has gone final.
Go ahead.
Game has gone final. Valley 74. A&M 72. I'm sorry, Doc.
Upset alert. Provides the final upset, at least according to records early on in the season. That game was played where?
Itabena,
yeah.
Always tough to go down to Itabena, as you know. Tough road loss. I thought had an interesting question by Israel on there talking about, is it possible to get like bi-monthly or monthly like update coaching requests? I do think that's something that is intriguing. Maybe with SWAC TV, there's a way to get that going. But it's like the chicken and the egg. You have so much interest from the football side, and they do the weekly. They've started this with providing the basketball and men's and women's basketball media day, if you would.
Yeah.
And it goes with some interest, but it's a challenge because it's right in the middle of football season, which is getting so much of people's times and energy. I think that's a really good question, Israel. I'm not sure if there's a really good answer in terms of what that looks like.
Can I give my answer?
Sure.
Why are you waiting on the conference office, or why is your institution waiting on the conference office? They have this thing called YouTube. They have this thing called SWAC TV. Instead of waiting on the weekly coaches call or bi-weekly coaches call or whatever, however you want to do it, why not have your sports information department and your head coach create their own coaches show?
I was going to ask you,
if you want to, and if they want to open it up where they could talk to the people via email, text, chat, or live, let's be creative. You don't have to wait on the conference. You don't have to wait on the local newspaper or the TV station to do this stuff anymore.
And I will give you this. I think a lot of this is coaches.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to be upfront of this, and much as I appreciate my coaches and I don't beat them up too bad, but while there are some coaches that are pushing this up for this, and you see those institutions doing a little bit about this, they ask those questions. You have some coaches that really don't want to do all the extra time. They just want to coach, focus on their stuff. So I think that's one reason why you're right, Drew, that it should be focused institutionally. And those alums that want it should be asking their institution and AD specific coaches, about it. But the reason you don't necessarily see the push by the conference office is that fact that they can't get a quorum from the coaches that really support it. There was a little wrangle in terms of the basketball media day. Unfortunately, that first year, remember, it was in Dallas. It went really well. And for the most coaches, they loved it. They hemmed it hard first because they were like, it take away from basketball. When they got to it and went well, they liked it. You had the next year at Houston. Then it went to Atlanta as they moved. Now in Birmingham. So they're starting to get into it and liking it. Maybe it's just a slow grind where they have to kind of get into that mood. But Charles, your thoughts on that?
And how hard is it for coaches, especially with the out of conference schedule, to kind of talk about, you take a 40-point beating. I'm sure, that becomes a very difficult thing to kind of navigate, in terms of what it is they're doing right, what it is they're doing wrong. So, and then, if you can just kind of stay under the radar from football season until you can get to conference play, maybe it makes it easier. But I'm all for wanting to know more about what's happening with my basketball.
No, I think that's an excellent point, Charles. And one of the reasons we don't bring out our poll ranking, that is a brand and a very strategic strategy for me to wait until we release our first poll. Because I want to get into conference games and get, in the conference game, you're going to at least get one team win and some others. So you tend to balance off what you could have with some teams in the non-conference schedule. But still, the question is won't you do it during conference season? You're right. You may not do it during non-conference. The interest may not be there, and you add on the difficulty of, half the leagues will do it kindly. Half the leagues at the Division I level, let's say that, independent, MEAC, SWAC, whatever, are playing these significant, challenging schedules, with the other half maybe doing a little better balance, which could fluctuate, your win-loss totals. Which gets back to that question in terms of how you do your scheduling, how much is pushed for money versus how much is understanding what it does to your brand ability about marketing your program.
Can I throw my 2 cents in on this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's play devil's advocate. Let's say we do this during SWAC play only.
Mm-hmm.
With the schedule expanding 3 days now between the men and the women. When do you do this? Where you're going to get media attention? You got to think you've only got 2 days, really, that you play Tuesday and Wednesday, and Tuesday, you've got a men's coach.
To your point, I think that is the question: is when do you do it and what time do you do it to maximize interest for folks to do you? And you're talking about local media, as well as what I'm gonna call now the new media, right? I.e., online media. Where do you put the mix? You know that it works in terms of football season. Some people practice early, some work as late. You have your Monday, things kick off. You do it. Basketball, you have some games on Monday, so you can't do Monday.
I mean, you got your men's schedule on Monday.
You have basketball games on
80% of the time, except for those rival weeks.
Right. So you can't do Mondays.
So you can't do Monday. You got Tuesday. But if you're talking about the men's coach on Monday, you've got half of your men's coaches who are coming off of the road from the Monday game, and Tuesday is probably their players' day off. Just on GP. Women would be fine on Tuesday. Wednesday you got women's team who are getting on the road to go to the next.
To your point in there, Drew, I wanted to jump in there which is another question. Do you have to have them where you're doing them both on the same day?
Well, that's one good question. My question is, can you get the members of the media to come to the space twice?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you may need to put them all together and do it as one, because it's tough enough to get them to show up just on GP, but now you ask for them to show up twice. It's tough for us as media members to get on both the MEAC and the SWAC call, just because most of us do have another profession that we do.
It's only an hour apart, so you're bleeding into one of them regardless.
Right.
Absolutely right.
And this is our second profession for most of us.
Right.
So
and even if you're talking about the local media, now you're talking about how do you schedule to make sure that you're scheduling within their time frame. Obviously, they have the morning news updates they do. They have the afternoon news, and you have evening. And oftentimes you have shifts between the folks that provide that information. But you need to be thinking about it. You don't want to schedule it when they're doing a broadcast. That's not going to work either. So I think all these variables are what you're putting in there, that it becomes a little more challenging what that looks like. And then you got the final thing to put in there before we take a last break and come back and talk a little bit more about this basketball as we get into it, about what's next, is who has the layout in terms of what that looks like. Because one of the things I would like to see continue to be improved is, do you do it in a studio for your coaches? Do you do a studio show, or are they just doing it in their office? What is the background? What does that look like? Which means you're putting a lot of work on your sports information director, which is already full in terms
already
of
full, right?
Right? No, I got you, Drew. I got your back. I'm gonna put that up in terms of what that looks like. So my point is, there are a lot of confounding variables, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't get done, but it's going to be hard to have it holistically for everybody. To do it, if they do it the same way.
I would be happy. Can we start off with something simple and achievable, everybody? Can we start off with either a post-game interview on the SWAC on SWAC TV, Or just a quick post game presser. Can we start off with something that's achievable before we move into the press conference? Let's get the low hanging fruit, y'all.
I agree. But I think now that you have SWAC TV, these questions, these opportunities for sure are going to start to become more important, and folks are going to have to look at it. And the more that you're creative and the more that you can push that, particularly for those programs that are having some success, you want to take advantage of the success. You know, Grambling on the men's side, they're hot right now. Who doesn't want to listen to what they got to say? Alabama A&M. You know, Alabama State after coming off a championship, right? Jackson State, just because they have a lot of interest in terms of what they're doing, right? Southern has been successful men's and women's basketball for a minute. So at least half your league, there's some significance. So those programs certainly better look at. Let's take our last break. As we do that, we'll come back on the other side. We'll give you a quick update. We're winding down in the first quarter in Grambling. With Grambling now taking the lead, they're up 11-10 with 1:53 left. We just gave you the final with Valley in terms of getting it done against Alabama A&M, 74-72 at home. That was in overtime. Earlier score was Southern over Prairie View, 7-55. And we do have an update also in Pine Bluff, I should say, as that game is tied between the Hornets and the Golden Lions, 24-24, 1:26 left, and that is going into the second quarter or halftime. We'll be right back after our last break, tie some things up as it's time to get into basketball, the hardwood court. We'll see who's going to find a way to go dancing this year. That being said, we'll be right back after this break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131. Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisine.
It's the 37th Annual Zora Festival in Edenville, Florida, Saturday, January 31st and February the 1st. On Saturday, the all-white party tribute to Frankie Beverly with bass guitarist Jubu. Bread, Sunset, and Taisha Williams. And on Sunday, the Line Dance Party Live with Jeter Jones. Frank Clark Jr. and Boss Lady Coco. Tickets available at zorafestival.org.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Let's get back into some talk, as you got some commercial breaks with that Grambling TSU game. Keeping your eyes on that, obviously, see what's going on. It's a pretty good one. We don't get the Magic or Alcorn State, Jackson State game until obviously on Saturday in terms of what that looks like. Fascinating to get in that talk. But I wanted to get some thoughts on this, since I have you all providing some data points and dialogue. Let's get back into a little bit of consternation or thought process that people had about naming rights. Where are you with the naming rights for stadium, facilities, locker rooms? And I bring this up not to say that I think it's maybe overdone and some teams may be at a position, but naming rights as somebody that teach facility managements are really for big organizations, big programs that really can get out there. And there's still some research out there that has said that this has slowed down in a lot of ways because corporations have not necessarily felt that they've gotten the bang for the buck. There's still some folks that like the image. If you're doing well, that you may do it not necessarily to get a direct bump, but the fact that you continue to put your brand out there in the front place, and there's some value for that. But what does that look like? But you had Southern University's board chair that was on Carlos Brown's show this past Saturday, where he was on his ranch. I thought that was fascinating, sharing some love out there. And it came up about the fact about naming rights. And anybody that has been following this for a while understands that Southern Stadium is named after a famous coach that did a lot of winning early on as that program was building, which is Mumford. It's called Mumford Stadium. Some of the Jackson fans have nicknamed it something else, but and other folks know that, but I won't get into that. So Tony Clayton is the board chair, and it's fascinating when he comes on the show. Folks that have followed Carlos Brown over the years knows that they have a friendly tat, for lack of better words, in terms they go at each other, but it's all in good fun, and you can tell there's a lot of respect in terms of for each other. But it's always funny because they kind of had one conversation that seemed for a lot of folks on the outside that it went there, and it wasn't just that. They were just having real meaningful conversations about what they both thought was best for Southern. Let me point that out from that. But he said in this business framework that he thought it was a great opportunity for Southern. And one of the things you can tell that Southern's looking at is how to continue to find revenue streams. Let's put that on the table. And one of the things about finding revenue streams beyond what they've done with the new coaching search, and they think they have a lot of momentum in terms of value, and it's working in terms of people talking about Southern, at least at this point, is about naming the stadium. And I think there's a simple solution is that, we just saw the Rose Bowl earlier, right? And if you know anything about Rose Bowl, it is the oldest bowl history out there. Oddly enough, State Fair Classic is founded, one of the bowls founded right after in that same time period back in 1920. This was the 100-year anniversary of the State Fair Classic founded in 1925. Just to put the HBCU tie to that, obviously Rose Bowl goes back over that. But the Rose Bowl title does have a sponsor, but it is presented. It's the Rose Bowl presented by the sponsor. So, that's one way to look at it. And so there's multiple factors in there. Are you too late for the game? you do that, but some people were saying there were concerns maybe taking A.W. Mumford's name off the stadium. Some people talk to the family, and other folks are saying that it's not really a concern of theirs. There's a way to do it. So you have both of that. Obviously, you have out there in the social media world, people were giving examples of naming rights on the stadium. So I won't give any brand value for those that hadn't supported us, but to put that out there. We'll start with you, AD Drew. Where are you in this space? Obviously important to need to generate revenue, but where are you with this thoughts in terms of naming rights, whether that is for a huge facility, football stadium, basketball, gymnasium, building, or even locker rooms or other weight room facilities? Where are you with that across the board?
And I'm gonna go two different directions on this one, and I need y'all to stay with me on this one. Who knows the name of the stadium where the Pittsburgh Steelers plays?
TD Bank, something. I don't know. I'm not sure.
It's like Acashura or something like that.
Yeah, eccentric field or something.
Something like that. But what do we call it? It's still Heinz Field to us.
Yeah.
So my point is,
great point.
If you're not first out the gate on that facility, you can't train people for that to come out of your mouth. How many of these
states talk about, for example, the baseball field here, they still call it Minute Maid Park.
Still call it Minute Maid.
And before that, it was what? Enron.
Yeah.
I know that's a bad name.
That was because it was such negativity, but it probably would be called that if it wasn't the negativity.
Right. But my point is, if we're going to sell the names, it needs to be on a new bill. We don't need to sell the naming right on an existing building, because the corporations that you're talking about, they don't get their value because you, I, and everybody else, we still call it by whatever it used to be called. So I think that's part of that that brand value. But Dr. Cavil, Charles, there is so much space on our campuses that we could be selling and we could be maximizing. We got all the. Are we really maximizing our tailgating areas? Are we really maximizing, different things, different activations on the field, in our arenas and different things like that? There's so much other stuff we could do. Yeah, I would love to get the big A check with a couple of commas in it. You and I both. But let's think back to how Barack Obama became the 44th president. $5 at a time. Sometimes you gotta take these nickels and dimes and quarters till they add up to be dollars. We looking to hit that home run with some of these sponsorships, everybody. Sometimes all we gotta do is lay down a perfect bunt. And whether we lay down a bunt in school or we hit a home run, long as we come across it's still a run.
Yeah.
So
good stuff. You want to talk about this younger generation, though? They're gonna talk about you these church. And Charles, let me go to you and ask you that to chime in, but I want to put a little more on the plate there.
I don't know. You have to be careful about not alienating the fan base. I think that's one thing that I got an opportunity to kind of see up close, especially when Prime was at Jackson State, and you had sort of the Memphis influence with regards to what's my rapper's name from Memphis? I'm just having a brain cloud on that right now. But no, it wasn't. No, it was Young Doc. With regards to the influence of Paper Route Empire that they had in regards to what they were doing there, and that turned some people the wrong way, to not get the true, Jackson State experience. Why isn't such and such, part of this, that sort of thing. So it's sort of a weird fine line to want the corporate sponsorship and you start getting some of that, involved into what it is you're doing, and then all of a sudden it alienates the fan base that's been coming for years. So I've said for a long time that our biggest strength is also our biggest weakness sometimes, because we do value tradition. We do value that. That is huge value. But it when it bumps up against progress, people get really iffy on it. So I don't know where the right balance is. I mean, you would think that the right balance is, Raising Cane stadiums at A.W. Mumford Field, but you're going to have pushback. You're absolutely going to have pushback. So I don't know exactly how to, put my hands on what the right balance is between both.
No, I think that's what those leaders in terms of the board chairs, the board overall, presidents, chancellors, ADs, VPs of athletics really have to wrestle with in terms of what is the balance of what that looks like. Then you have this additional conundrum. Chris brings in here, doesn't it also depend on the corporate sponsor? Yes, you need to look at the corporate sponsor, particularly these days, because you can get a corporate sponsor that may be out of line with the quote unquote black community in terms of who they're affiliated with.
I
want to see somebody name a field after Target.
Yeah, that ain't about to happen no time soon.
You talk about alienating fan base. You better be very careful. It's a great point by Chris put out there. Then you also have the state rules and guidelines that came up on the show yesterday in terms of Ken Rashad as they were doing their podathon in terms of what that looks like, which is important also to make sure you understand the governing rules. And I don't think fans obviously look at that, and it changes from state to state. So just because one institution can do it, public institution in the state, doesn't mean another one can do it in terms of what that looks like in terms of that. And then the last part is also the value. I think we have a value, rightfully so, in terms of how we see HBCUs. But when you're talking about value with corporations, they're going to look at metrics.
Yeah.
And they're looking at buying. We know our buying index is high, but they also want you to be able to show some direct correlation. If we put our name on this and it's put out there, will your support, to your point, Charles, will the fans, alumni, will they support it? And when I say support it, not just support and saying, yes, we like the fact that you put money on it. They're looking for you to support that organization.
Engage.
Yeah. So if you engage. When I'm talking about not just engage, they talking about you going to the store. So if you're talking about Raising Cane's supporting that, they're looking you to go to Raising Cane's and buy.
Right. The basketball team.
Let me finish this. I'm gonna get you in there. If I'm gonna put, $50,000 in your pocket as an institution, I'm looking for your fan base to put 50,000 plus one back into our organization because it's a business. AD Drew, you probably were going to expand on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, using that Raising Cane's example, we need to bring that internally also. When we're on the road, we don't need to be pulling up at Chick-fil-A to feed our team either. We need to be using Raising Cane's itself. If there's a Raising Cane's option available, we should be doing it. Yeah. And honestly, we shouldn't be eating anybody else's chicken on the road, but them, because
except
they
are. To make sure you go to Frenchie.
I said as a team, not as an individual, as a team.
Now, to your point, though, in all seriousness, those are things that you really have to take a deeper dig into of how you do that. Because even if you get it the first time, one of the things is you want this relationship to be ongoing. And those are things they're going to look like in the metrics to see, all right, does this relationship make sense? Because the first deal is nice to land, but really once you want that deal over year, or past the 3 or 4 years you have it, is you want it re-signed. And that's important from that perspective. So great dialogue, great discussion in terms of providing some coherent thoughts on that and putting some more variables on the table that people must consider when they talk about that. That'll do it for the show today. Before we do that, it makes sense when you go out of here with Texas Southern and Grambling. They're tied at 25 apiece as they get things going, closing out that matchup there in that first half. Giving you an update in terms of halftime at Alabama State and UAPB. That's also tied. It's tied at 24-24. So it's fascinating to see how these games will come out. Somebody will feel good after the evening while others are going to look back to get back into it on Saturday. It's that time of the year officially now, Charles. We're in basketball season. And Saturday, you bring on the MEAC as they start playing their games as well. Let me say thank you for listening.
SIC and CIAA kick back up this Saturday also.
They kick back up. How many weeks have they been playing? 2?
3 to 4 weeks, depending on the conference. Just quickly, full slate of MEAC action. Howard visits South Carolina State. Coppin State visits Delaware State. Morgan State at Maryland Eastern Shore. Norfolk State at Central.
Good stuff. And to do the other side, since you brought that up, that's a great point. You have FAMU, the rivalry game, Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman on Saturday. That should be fascinating. It will be on YouTube. Alcorn State at Jackson State. Another rivalry game should be fascinating. Prairie View at Grambling on Saturday. Texas Southern at Southern. Alabama State at Mississippi Valley State. And Alabama A&M at Arkansas Pine Bluff UAPB. Thank you for listening to Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share your podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. I want to say thank you to AD. Again, we want to say thank you for listening to Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington, Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. I want to say Happy New Year. It's a new year, 2026. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest in the lab. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil. That's DrKenyattaCavil. That's Threads, Facebook, and Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab 1 on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. It's time for me to get in here and get some of my black eyed peas. Greens, Charles. With that being said, all the lab listeners, we'll talk with you soon. Charles?
Of course.
AD?
Lecture.
Dismiss.